Welcome back, everybody, to Leading Crypto. Happy Monday. I'm your host, CVO Crypto, for this morning show. Doing a little different today. I'm going to kind of separate the altcoin update from the Bitcoin update. So this will be heavily focused on Ethereum, Solana. We're actually going to take a look at probably Harmony One briefly. And I always like to hear myself in reverse there, or talking back. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at a few altcoins here briefly this morning, kind of take a look at, where some potential pullback areas are for Ethereum. Obviously, that would transfer into the altcoins as well. But while we're kind of coasting around this region, we still have some room to run for a lot of these altcoins. So if you're interested in that, be sure to like and subscribe. And then do tune in again today at 10 a.m. Eastern for Magic, Internet Money, and Max as they go over Bitcoin. So just going to jump right in here, right? So, all right. Take a look at, all right, starting off with Ethereum here. So we had a really nice run up here, right? And when looking at this, it's kind of like, okay, what did we run into? Why did we stop here? Things of that nature. We didn't necessarily come back up and meet these highs. Just had this really big, just straight rally, right? Ever since basically the beginning of the year. Essentially, if you would have just longed anything on January 1, you would have been up pretty substantially, right? So taking a look at some range data here. Okay, so when we look at, we got our new previous week, right? So just kind of want to point a couple of things out here, right, where you do have the clear that up a little bit. We got daily open, right, which is our first little line in the sand, so to speak, as far as potential downside. Where we targeting, if we lose that, which we already have at this point, would be our new weekly pivot. Does come in right about $1,500, so not really too far away from where we are right now. Talking about potential 2 or 3%, however. So I mean, anybody looking at this and paying attention from a day trade standpoint, once you lost the VWAP here and day open, essentially this is a short entry, stop loss right above this recent high, and then at least targeting down towards weekly pivot, right? So about a 2% move, really nice intraday. Otherwise, areas to look for and be concerned with to the downside from here is still going to be this 6-month pivot right here. So this is a high time frame average of price. This was the average of price for the last 6 months, right? So as we came up to this region, noted that living below this obviously was the gateway for potential more downside. As we live above it at the moment, it was the line in the sand once again for more upside potential here. So you saw how we really rooted around this for a hot minute, and then we got the reclaim and off we went. So on the downside area here, if we were to come back down and start losing this region 1411, then you'd start targeting down towards, do have this one untapped weekly pivot from last week that we never met, right at 1260. This is also our current local gold pocket as well in this region, right? So you do have a gold pocket that's spans down to like 1277 at 1296. Weekly pivot does come in just below that. So if we do come down to that region, it wouldn't be out of the question to come down just a little further here. And then, kind of still widening this scope here on the idea of, what did we stop at, and what would be, more, what would we look for now to get more potential upside in the short term for today? Physically, it's going to be claiming your daily open right back up to about 1252. Obviously, you got a couple of highs here as well, but zooming out a little bit, you do have a right. We got our high time frame range here, right? So the entire range that we've been in since May of last year. Right, so this includes our dump all the way down to sub 1K, rally back up to 2000. You got the FTX collapse, and now we've essentially, basically just Bart Simpson all the way back up to that area, right? So, but you could note that we came right up to the range high here. Obviously, we got the wick through, but we're living back below this at the moment. So, in the grand scheme of things, as far as a range would go, if you're going to trade the range until it breaks, excuse me, you would anticipate that unless we can break basically 1563, start closing that on a pretty solid basis, right? Start seeing some 4 hours, potentially a daily, that you were going to potentially rotate this range back down, right? And with a couple of these statistical targets below us, You've got the point of control, which is obviously your natural target of the range. If we start heading back down, and then all the way back down potentially to the value area low, rotating full. So that would be, something to kind of keep in mind. And right now it's kind of one of those situations where, to flip, continually bullish, you want to see 1567, 1552, this little $20 region really like flipped as support. Obviously we want to come and take these highs, but to me, you don't necessarily have to get all the way up to here before you make, before we can say that, we're probably going to see more upside. For me, it would be really flipping this region right here. After that, we can, potentially challenge up to that untapped yearly pivot up here at about 1989. Do keep in mind that that would, really probably mean that the entire market is continuing higher. So with that being said, this is a time where we are at resistance, right? Coffee for anybody. We are at resistance. We've seen an extreme rally, right? Off the exact low has been like 50%, 55%, but even just off of the just recent, new year opening here, we've seen a 40% rally out of Ethereum and Bitcoin, I believe. Altcoins have been, going crazy. So it's really comes down to a time frame where, you might have, pullback is in the cards, right? So where and how, is the question on how we get down in some of these regions. But at the moment, managing this, on a day-to-day, level-to-level basis, you're at resistance until this is not. From here, we can look a little higher, obviously. I do have some other areas as we come into them, but what did I look at last night too in our members update? We're actually looking at Q3, which is a pretty decent little range here, right there. Okay. So for any more upside, potential before we get to the yearly pivot here, right? So this is our last quarter here. You can see how we ran up. We got the EQ of the range, so we're living right at the middle. Obviously, that's where our daily open is at the moment. So once again, on the that flip the daily open, flip this 1550 area for more upside. Although this is a pretty big target up here, what's a shorter term target? What's the next major area where we could actually, if we do see any more upside, come through, take these highs, potentially even come through and take this. It would be basically the Q3 value area high, right? So that for me is a big one. It is around $1,800, just below 1782. However, I would imagine if we came up to this region, we would probably poke a little bit higher, take this high right here, and then potentially start rooting around and putting in some pullback areas. That would be the next immediate target, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, right? So aside from the 2% and 3% little intraday moves, something that's just the next major area would be, this region here, flip that. And then I would say there's no reason not to go to the yearly pivot at that point, right? So that is pretty much ETH in a nutshell, right? So really just trying to make a brief update here today. The traditional markets are not open. So not that really has too much to do sometimes with the crypto market, because we can see some pretty explosive moves when the markets are down. But taking a look at Solana as well. Range rotated in full, right? Beautiful over 200% move. So 204% over the last few days here. And, potentially, you could flip this range high and continue onward and upward. Entering positions at this point, is probably not the greatest idea. We still have not had a substantial pullback quite yet. Do note that I have the local gold pocket here from low to high, does come back right to the point of control here of this overall range. So this is a very, in my opinion, this is a likely scenario if we don't, get out of this region. So at this point, just looking at this as a simple range rotation. We saw something like this back with XRP just a few weeks ago, months ago at this point, I suppose, when we ran up to 55 cents, got everybody really excited, did nothing but rotate the range and then pull back to the point of control after that, right? So news aside, whatever that, is going on, this asset has fully, met its targets. We had a slew of statistical targets throughout this range, and that was really the only areas I was even looking for was, the averages of price, right? So all these have actually been tapped. I'll update this for the next update. But along the way, these were our areas that we were looking for. And now potentially you could see us come all the way back down to $13, $14, where, we actually spent a lot of time, within the last 2 weeks in that region, right? You can already see it. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. But if we do start flipping $24, 24 cents, then yeah, you got more upside to come. Harmony One, this is one in the group updates from me a couple days back. I did note, and this is a really, really good example of, we look at divergences, right? And on the RSI, and many do. And there's just times where, Magic said it best. It's just like oversold, overbought just doesn't mean anything when the trend is just, there. And I say that in the sense of like, you can still see that we have bearish divergence here, right? So you got your high at the moment, you got a lower high right here. Look down on your oscillator here, you got a high. Now we got a higher high. We had the same thing days ago when the price was actually all the way back down here. So obviously that did not come through, and it's one of those things that just kind of keep in your mind, but you also still want to have your validations for how the market can move still, when trending. So I identified that one was outside of the range, looking for the reclaim of this region right here, the value area low 0.012, and targets were very simple. It was only two. It was point of control and it was range high. And we've now met both of those. Just from the entry at the value area low was 51% move. At this point, I would anticipate potentially coming back, down toward, if we rotate the range back in full, that's coming back down to the local gold pocket, right? So it's just similar to Solana potentially, right? You have a full range rotation unless we really start breaking above at this point. Those sayings are made for more so the idea that if you're not in a position yet, right, this is not the area you probably want to be buying. And even though it's a little higher, but you get the confirmation of this breakout, because otherwise you could be buying right now, just assuming we'll continue higher. And then you can, potentially be the one that's going to eat this pullback, which is 28% from where we are now, from the high 33% if we get it there, right? So it's no secret that the market is, ran for the last 2 weeks. So, I mean, a pullback is in the cards here at some point in the near future, in my opinion. How you guys doing? All right. What else did I have here? Yeah, Cardano, same deal, right? We were living outside the range, broke back in. Where are we targeting? Had our point of control and 2 other targets. And then essentially after that, it's just the value area high. Actually, this was a major area as well I had marked out. This is a pretty decent little area of support and resistance coming in. Obviously, you've seen we've tagged that twice now, right at 36.8. So flipping this would be the key to seeing the value area high, about 40 cents. From where we are, obviously that's, diddling in the middle, so to speak. So, but otherwise you've seen a really nice little impulse move here. We front ran the monthly. Once again, these are all tapped. I'll have to go through and change these. Did front run the monthly, however, and then we came back and obviously got it. So at the moment, wouldn't see if you're in from lower, you obviously want to have taken profits along the way. I would see if we could push higher up into this 40-cent region. Otherwise, same thing, we're really running into time where, a pullback in the market is probably, highly likely at this point in the next coming days. And Doge also met a couple of major targets as well. We were looking at the reclaim of this region right here, 0.72, had our monthly pivot, point of control. Obviously, you see that's where we met. Front ran the quarterly, but if we do flip this region, I would imagine we're going to see the quarterly pivot potentially run this range all the way up as well. It just depends on how the market will do for the rest of the coming days here soon. So that is about all I got. Nice 15 minute update for you all. We're going to try to do stuff like this going forward. Have 2 just brief updates, one for altcoins only. I'll take some requests if you like in the group. If you're interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, the information is in our information box below. We are also still offering half off the first month if you'd like to become a member. So there's instructions in there. You can go to our website, leadingcrypto.io, and join the monthly subscription base. And you can punch in discount code BTC22 and get half off your first month if you'd like to enjoy all of our analysis, our 14 video, actually it's 15 video now, step-by-step academy. And pretty much everything we have to offer. So be sure to tune in later on today for Max, Magic and Max, as they are going to cover Bitcoin, order flow, open interest, potentially the SPX, DXY, and they're going to cover that in a separate video today at 10 a.m. Eastern, our normal time. So till next time, everybody, hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world.